Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner.
Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner.
Cammy's Comic Corner.
Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner. Geeky Talky.
The Return.
Hello, comic book fans, and welcome back to Geeky Talky. I mean, I don't know where you've been for the past several years. Obviously, you haven't gone through the archives. I've been recording these every week still. I just forgot to plug in the microphone every single time.
Ah, you dumb fool. That's why I came along, to make sure your technical difficulties are no longer technical or difficult.
He asked me, have you turned it back on and off again? And I was like, yes. And he's like, is it plugged in? And I was like, well, this isn't embarrassing.
I bought a wireless microphone.
I didn't know I was supposed to sync it.
Ah, criminy.
Who do I look like? Justin Timberlake? I could just NSYNC shit back together?
I was spitting these hot rhymes into this mic and just hoping the world would hear.
And now my microphone's covered in slime and spit. It's horrible.
And then you had to get a replacement one. That took a few extra years off.
I'm going to be a horrible rapper. My rap career is just, no.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think you're an excellent rapist.
No, Jeremy, it's not pronounced that way. No, it's rapper. No, not rapist. No.
Rapper, no, that's what a Snickers bar comes
Hashtag
in.
not
By
me
the
too,
way,
no.
Cammy's Comic Corner brought to you by Snickers.
Hoping they pick up on this, like, in their van outside. They mentioned us. All right, we can sponsor this episode. Yes.
There's $1,000 just sitting outside the door.
That's how this works, right? This whole podcasting thing. We just, like, mention things like Audi, Snickers, Clausen's Pickles, and then they sponsor the show.
Always back to Clausen's Pickles.
It was mentioned during our lunch.
I also appreciate that you didn't say any people that actually do normal sponsors, just in case they come back and want to throw sponsorships our way.
I'm going to shop around this episode in particular and say, hey, Geeky Talky's back. Do you want to sponsor this? Listen to this great content.
Grade A content. Immediately, first 5 minutes, we talk about bullshit.
You can't find this anywhere else on other podcasts hosted by two white guys. No, never. Talking to just shooting the shit and just being cool and comics and nerds and shit.
Wait a minute. Early 30s white nerds. What are you talking about? This is new shit. This is
a sought-after demographic of podcast hosts, yes.
In all seriousness, there's got to be 10,000 other people just like us. Why not throw our head in as well?
I think, though, on a serious note, let's get serious for a second. When I first started Cammy's Comic Corner back in the day, the video podcast, and eventually the audio podcast that you're currently listening to, everyone and their goddamn mother had a podcast. And then I've noticed, ever since like I left, and other people, other big names in the podcast, not just comics, but just other big podcasters, went away. So did like everyone else, because I think people kind of realized, A, it was hard to maintain weekly, monthly, whatever scheduled show you have. Hosting, that's constantly chipping away at your bank account every month. It could be a small fee, but they all add up. You could have bought something else entirely with that money that you spent on the past 3 years of hosting. And just social media, just staying relevant, competing with other people, getting those viewers, because I used to listen to a lot of podcasts too. And I notice more and more often I trim more and more because I'm like, yeah, I've heard this before, or nothing new here. They're talking about that again. I haven't heard that for 300 fucking times already. So
yeah. Which podcast am I listening to? The same content or
yes.
The same 5 different ones? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, this one disappeared.
So I mean, coming back now, I mean, yeah, it's gotten a lot more professional. I can say that.
Absolutely.
I have not, but the other people, other podcasters have, that with their big networks like the Earwolves, or if you're WTFN with the Mark Marons and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, there is a business for it. There are sponsors available for it now, because some of these people are just like, yeah, throw money at it. This is just going to cost us nothing.
Yeah,
just be mentioned 1 time, 2 times, and then it's always out there on the internet. So some schmuck in China is going to download it at one point and just hear Snickers. Yeah, brought to you. Cammy's Comic Corner, brought to you by Snickers.
I was so close to launching into a Chinese accent. Let's not do that again.
No. Hi. First episode back and last one. Help, I can't edit this in time.
Welcome back. Oh, the racism has already begun.
MAGA, am I right? No. And we just lost all of our listeners.
We're in 2019. Oh, goodness.
Goodness gracious. But one of the reasons why this came back is because you, Mr. Jeremy Awesome, wanted it to come back.
I did.
You begged and pleaded, and I said, "Get up, man! You're making a fool of yourself."
Yeah. So I spent the last few years hiding behind your couch, just so you know.
I thought it was a little lumpy.
Well, I was just punching you in the back every time I wanted you to change the channel.
I just thought Amanda got the VR experience, and I was like, "Wow, this movie is intense."
4D. Imagine where's the bubbles coming from?
Ken Burns does not like me.
I was actually living in Phoenix, Arizona for a long, long time because it was close to San Diego, but it wasn't San Diego, and it didn't cost San Diego money.
It's like San Diego, but with purgatory.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine hating every moment of your life, and you could think you're pretty much in the right spot. So I decided to leave that and come to LA, and where did I find myself? Straight back behind your couch once again.
Or 1.8 miles away from where I
roughly
was.
so. Listen, I'm in the gentrified part of LA. You're in the gentrified part of LA. We can get
Oh,
together
I'm on
and
the
talk
border
about
of gentrification right there.
That's
Like
true.
it's still just like I'm on one side, I'm on the other side. I don't need a passport yet to get to the other counties of LA, but you know, it's getting there.
things.
Absolutely.
You had to hop a fence or two, but other
Yes.
than that, yeah.
And what brought you to LA?
What brought me to LA? Well,
It wasn't my pretty mug, I can tell you that.
it was your pretty mug.
Oh.
Aw. But also, I had I had lofty ambitions for a major life change in career because I was doing this and that and nothing for a long time in Phoenix, and then I realized that Phoenix is really perhaps the worst place on earth.
Oh, people go to die there.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, a lot of people knew that, and I just decided to go anyway. I was like, is this for real? Like, come on, this can't be as shitty as it is, and it's worse. But not as bad as Tucson. Lost one viewer, got him.
Oh. Take
I-
that, Tucsonian.
Tuscan. Yeah.
Tuscany?
Nope.
Take that, Tuscany.
Tuscans, fucking. Wait, are we bleeping out part of the podcast?
No, we're not.
Are we
This is-
G-rated?
No, we're not G-rated.
Okay.
Fuck those kids.
Can I say the other F word?
Oh, let's not. No. no. I know we were both in musical theater, and we feel like we could say that if
Listen,
we wanted to.
I've known a lot of Frenchmen.
That's what I was referring to when we went to musical theater camp in France. Yeah, in Paris.
That was it.
In Gay Paris. Yeah.
Okay, it was in Quebec. Come on, they're French, but like,
They're the lesser known cooler French people.
hey,
yeah.
listen. If there's one thing I can do, is make fun of Montreal people because they do not stop making fun of Americans. So we're okay.
I didn't even know they existed, let alone making fun of us up until now.
Yeah, they all hate us. Really, it's like the younger brother up there.
Oh, okay.
We're at least offending 5 people right now. So let's move on, shall we?
Yeah,
I decided to move away from Phoenix, Arizona because it was a hellhole, as everyone knows. Everyone on the planet knows, pretty much. Death Valley, pretty nearby. But I had lofty ambitions to try to do something with a voice acting career. I was in California for a long time, growing up, and it always just kind of was my home. I was in a Navy family, so I was moving around all over the place.
Right.
Nothing ever really stuck. And then always remembering back to good times in San Diego. But I couldn't live in San Diego anymore because there's not really much there.
There's not, and like we both were from Coronado, and I mean that's a little pricey to just move back
yes.
in. And there's nothing really to do there in general. And then San Diego in general, or as well, property values are just rent and all that fun stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong, LA's exactly the same, but there's more opportunities if you wanted to take that certain career path.
Lots more opportunities. So voice acting is what I'm aiming for, which is unfortunate because I'm not really good at talking into a microphone. I've never done it before.
You got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere.
No, Jeremy, look to your left. Speak into that microphone. That's the microphone. You've been speaking away from it this entire time.
What?
No. Come back to me.
Cameron, what are you?
It's right over there. It's right, almost there.
Okay.
Hot,
Hey,
colder.
Is it
warmer.
below the table?
No. Warmer, colder. Perfect. You got it.
Perfect.
Yes. There we go. I think your career is off and running now.
Off to a great start.
Yes.
So I'm here now trying to get a career started. You're here with a career already up and running. I mean, you've at least
it's
got
not a career. It's not a career.
We've ended everyone's interest in this podcast. We've already killed so far.
I mean, some people might be like, "Oh, they're back. I wonder what they're up to." But as long as we keep it, in a tight 5-minute recap of where we've been for the past 8 years of our lives doing this podcast.
Yes.
Surely. Oh fuck, we're at minute 10 already.
Shit.
God damn it, we're No good.
I knew we could only fill up time.
I know. But I mean, that's great that you're here, though.
Yes, I'm glad to be
because I think, like we were mentioning, several more opportunities, several more connections.
Yes.
I mean, that's great that your origin story is you were bitten by a radioactive Mark Hamill, and now you want to go into voice acting. So, I mean, more power to you. I hope to hear you on the next Adventure Time or the Bob's Burgers or whatever the kids are watching nowadays.
Kids aren't watching Bob's Burgers, I'll tell you that much.
What?
No, the adults are watching Bob's Burgers.
But
it's a cartoon.
But it's a
for adult
cartoon. I
people.
thought kids only watched cartoons.
Yeah, no, I would not put that in front of a 5-year-old. There's a lot of talking about buttholes. They do that a hell of a lot.
But what?
Hey, good for them. Somebody's got to talk about them. Damn it!
Yeah, I guess. But what about letting my 5-year-old watch Janet Jackson perform at the Super Bowl halftime show? Is that okay?
First of all, I've been behind your couch for 8 years now. I haven't seen a 5-year-old yet. Secondly,
We only let him out of the crate on weekends.
pop them out. Secondly, Janet Jackson's boobs are just everyone needs to see them.
Is that what her live Las Vegas show is all about? Just like she just came out, just like took off her top and then just went backstage?
She gets on, she goes, "Buzzow!" She's got stars all around. It's like a steampunk on her titties.
Steampunk
Yeah,
titties.
it's just
Coincidentally, that's the name of my new band, Steampunk Titties. So there
steampunk
we
titties.
go.
That's an excellent one. Yeah. It has to
Oh,
be
my goodness. But no, I mean, voice acting, it's pretty competitive, right? I mean,
yes.
it's much like acting, and like certain actors and comedians are already, beaten you to the punches there as well with their agents and their connections.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Way to really talk it up, man. Way to really make
No,
me excited
no,
for what I'm doing.
I'm just listen. We got to be
It's
realists here.
absolutely reality.
I see you floating off into your little dreamland. I got to just get the shotgun of truth, and cocked and loaded, ready to
Make sure
shoot you down there.
my little wings of wax melt.
Butterfly in the sky. Don't go twice as high. Maybe
As the beautiful sun.
take a look in the
caramels.
reality book.
Okay,
Life.
so now that we've come to a really sad part of this, where we look back on this,
Talk about
when 5 years from now the podcast has gone on, I've since left because I've completely failed at what I'm doing. And someone says, I'm going to go back and listen to the archives, listen to the first episode, just to see what was going on. Oh, this guy, well, not the first episode, the first episode after they returned.
Yes, the return.
See, this guy, what's he doing? Oh, that's right, he died.
He died.
He died.
Heroin. I didn't even know. Like, he was hit by a heroin truck. That was the crazy part. He didn't even ingest the stuff. No. He was just at a drug deal gone wrong. He was just like, oh, I'll just take an illegal right here. And bam, the truck hit him.
Yeah, and I was walking an old lady across the street, too. She was going to...
But she was an addict, though. So that, that was... She knew it was coming.
She had
messing with heroin.
called. She knew it was coming. Ooh, you watch that phrase. It is a very competitive field. It is less competitive than straight acting. I shouldn't say straight acting. It's less competitive than film acting.
Oh, not gay acting?
Not well.
Okay.
There's a bit of a crossover
Okay.
between everything. They really meld together very well.
Gotcha.
There's performing on film, performing on stage, performing in front of a microphone are all very different things.
Of course.
Being able to convey yourself using none of your features is a particular talent. It comes a lot easier to people who've worked on stage, as
Right.
you may yourself know.
I've dabbled, yeah.
You've been there. I maybe seen you once or twice, but it is still competitive. The more difficult part is that it's tight knit, and that a lot of jobs go to a few people. So breaking in and getting an agent and moving through all that is going to be a continual journey that I'm going on. We're still working on it up to this point. But I am going to give it my all until I run out of money, and then, like I said, I die.
And then the only evidence of this is just this podcast.
Podcast.
I'll send it to your parents, and they'll be like,
what
"Oh,
happened to our poor little Jeremy?"
we don't need to hear that tape. We don't even know how to play an MP3." So there we go. Like,
Could you put this on vinyl?
oh, okay. I guess I can make a pressing of 500.
Hold on, let me get the wax out.
Old timey and whatnot. But no, I mean, like you were talking about expression and being able to convey certain things.
Correct.
But I mean, it's helpful to have the script in front of you, so you know what the reaction should be coming up. And we see behind the scenes videos of voice actors during a recording, and they're very animated. They can
absolutely.
just really just like blah, 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 because no one's watching them. They don't have to like worry about how they're presenting themselves. Like, as they just, like, do whatever their ritual is, they just need to make sure it sounds good or it sounds appropriate to that, whatever piece of dialogue or whatever scene that they're recording for, right?
Correct. And on top of that, you need to be able to do the same take in 4 or 5 different ways every time. You can't ever read it the same way twice. Because if they wanted it the way that you did it already, then, hey, they already got it, son. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Whereas getting it on film, there's a lot more that you can convey by body language, by facial features, by camera shot, in fact. Whereas just in the voice, it's just in the voice, and maybe the animation can go along with it. Maybe not. Maybe the animation doesn't have anything to do with it. Maybe you're talking over a documentary, or maybe you're doing some kind of background talk in the middle of a major scene in a film where you're narrating, or it's ADR is also a big thing where you're providing voiceover for parts that need to be redone or for parts that didn't have any vocals over it, and they're like, we should put something in here, we're just going to swoosh it in. So a lot of different aspects to it. Documentaries would be awesome. That'll set you up forever if you can finally get that, but unfortunately I'm just hilarious and I'm needed for more important things.
Now, I know you used to be a huge video gamer. Like, is that kind of like your holy grail, is like to have your voice one day like completely immortalized in like a video game that you yourself could play, and have your child and your grandchildren play and be like, that was me back in the day? Like, whatever, Grandpa. You're just a dead soldier. You just go, ah! And like the Willem scream, and then that's it.
Yeah, my goal is the new Wilhelm scream. That's really the holy grail that I'm shooting for.
Okay.
I never stopped playing games. That's and we're gonna.
This is fake news.
This is fake news. Don't ever tell me. I never stopped. It's been a hobby forever. So I'm sure we'll talk about that plenty in the years to come.
Okay. Well, I still play Halo if it's available, or Mario Kart 64,
it's
but
around.
I know nothing about video games.
Don't worry, you'll bore me to tears talking about comics.
Oh, well,
It'll be perfect.
I guess I read those still sometimes.
You've got a few of those.
No, Amanda's the video gamer in this relationship here. And Amanda being my fiance, you've heard her on a couple of episodes back when we were playing Marry, Fuck, Kill with Disney characters.
Hell yeah.
And I put a ring on it. And now next month, actually, in Versailles, we will be getting married. So
I'm trying to get in there and make him understand that it's a terrible idea. Really, he's not having it. They're unfortunately extremely in love. And it's disgusting to see, really. I didn't even get invited to the wedding.
If you check your mailbox in like the next day or two, you will see an invite to the San Diego reception.
To the San Diego reception.
Yes.
Hey.
Because I was just like,
Looking forward to it.
this ongoing joke got old the first time. I'm like, well, your old friend that you haven't seen in several years, I didn't get an invite. And then I'm like, all right, well, don't want this to come up every single fucking time. And then sure enough has in some aspects.
Sure enough, it has every time so far. But when the invite comes in the mail, hey, the joke will be dead.
It will be, and you can look back to this as evidence. It's just like this episode, like, oh yeah, a couple days later, I got an invite. That was crazy.
Yeah, I'll listen back on this and be like, wow, Cameron really didn't think it was funny anytime I said it. I should feel bad, but man, I don't.
I don't whatsoever. No, I'm gonna keep doing it just for shits and giggles.
Just
after
shits
they
and
get married.
giggles.
Yeah.
Yep. Of course.
course.
Wow, am I going to get invited to the next wedding? Like, come on.
Didn't even get invited to the conception of their child? What the hell?
Jeez. You had a kid? And I didn't even know?
It must have been 9 months ago. I know it was 9 months ago, as a matter of fact. Where was I? I was on vacation? Cuba? Fine. Couldn't wait. You couldn't have waited a couple more weeks?
Jeez. You decide to go out on the honeymoon and then out pops a kid? Come on, man. You got to wait for me to show up.
What about your other 5-year-old, who's now like 6 or 7? What? You ever think about what Brendan thought about?
Now that 9 months have passed, and I've done the quick math in my head.
Yeah, no, I'm an English major. I'm not a mathematician or whatever
That's
they
true.
call it. Yeah.
I'm a math magician myself.
You're a mathematician.
Yeah.
Abracadabra, is that your number? Is that your multiplication?
You just wrote the letter P.
Or did I write a 9?
6,
Oh,
I
what?
think.
Oh my goodness.
Close.
This guy's good. I actually went to the Magic Castle for my 32nd birthday a couple
The
months ago.
Magic Castle?
The Magic Castle. Have you not heard of the Magic Castle?
No, I haven't. Remember, I haven't been in California very long.
Oh well, no. I mean, any dunce knows what the Magic Castle is. They don't even have to be from California. Did you say you were living in Tucson this entire time, or were all
no.
the other dunces? No.
I was living with all the other dunces. Yes,
Ah,
I'll
take
accept
that, Tucson.
Got
Again. But no, it's like kind of a magical museum. They have several different stages. It's kind of like the Haunted Mansion meets like the Hotel del Coronado, where there's so much rich history. It's a club of magicians and like performers who can like kind of practice their next routines. They have visiting magicians come, or like jugglers, jesters. Like not so much comedians, more like MCs. Like the one MC I saw, like he had a ventriloquist dummy, and he had a whole act that he did on how he could pronounce certain things, or like you can't say certain words when you're a ventriloquist because you can't pronounce them, and then he would proceed to pronounce them on stage multiple times and like blow your mind. But no,
Take an ass with it.
It's like a prestigious club, and you need an invite. You need to know somebody who knows somebody, kind of deal.
Ooh, dang.
So man, I knew a friend from work who got us in, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Like it was just seeing the close-up magic. Like they had like bars, like these big bars, and then like in the hallways, like all these like framed posters of like past magicians, or like different like traveling acts, or like Harry Houdini's like straitjacket is like framed in one thing, and then like off on the side of little tables you have like people doing sleight of hand magic. Just like it was just so much fun. Like I think when I think of like the magicians, I think of the Magicians Alliance and like Job from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Like they demand to be taken seriously, but these guys were like legit. And the president of the organization is Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris himself.
Doogie Howser himself. Yes.
How interested is he in magic?
He loves it. Like he's performed several times too. I've never seen it, but like I know that like that's part of his shtick. Is like he loves the magic, and so
magic.
I guess he was just like, "Is this your nomination for president of the Magic Council?" And they're like, "Okay, well played, Mr.
I
Harris."
see.
Yeah.
If you ever reach into my hat, I'll see a deed to the land that I just bought.
I have blackmail pictures of you and your mistress. Oh, look at me! I'm gonna be the president.
Fantastic. Now you see him. Now you don't.
They're in a bank vault somewhere. But no, it was a lot of fun. I should probably take you sometime. We have another connection.
That sounds incredible.
Because we went, we had a fun time. They don't allow pictures or video inside at all. They have like a step and repeat. You can take a picture out in front of the venue,
Right.
and then you go on in, and then you have to say the magic word to get past a sliding door of books. Do you know what the magic word might be?
Is it please?
No.
Is it thank you?
I said please, actually. I thought it was, oh, please? They're like, no.
No.
What's the famous magic word that opens shit?
Abby Cadabby.
No. We're not trying to kill a dark wizard. Open sesame.
Open sesame, the magic word.
That's the magic word. But no, yeah, we'll go, because when we got back and posted pictures, someone's like, "Oh, my husband, like he's a member." And we're like, "Oh, screw the other guy. We can get this connection now." Absolutely, no. But,
Some weirdo from work or a good pal of ours.
Hey, you want to go back with me? No, we're good. We're good, Tim. Thanks.
Guess what? You're already here. Whoa! God damn it, David Blaine.
What do I have here? Oh, what's up my hand? Oh, it's a cease and desist. Get away.
Thank you very much. You're not allowed to talk to us again, and we really appreciate the tickets that you got us.
So, enough of this gay banter. You had a list of certain things you wanted to talk about.
Well, I mean, it's Geeky Talky.
It is Geeky Talky.
What would be Geeky Talky without talking about some geeky things?
And we don't have drinks in front of us, so yeah,
don't
it's not drinky talky where we just do what we're doing right now, only in more slurring.
It could be Geeky Talky. We could start that up in case we're starting to fall short.
Like break glass for emergency, like wine.
Exactly. Oh God, our content is flagging. No, what I was hoping to do was, if we're going to go some sort of regular format to go along with this, the typical way would be our lives are much more interesting than yours, dear listener. We, being in the capital of content creation in the world, have not but 10,000 things for us to do that are far more interesting than your poor bit of a life.
And that's just in this room alone. Like,
Yeah,
you don't even need to
exactly.
exit the apartment.
And if I go outside, what? We're in LA? I've been behind your couch this whole time. No, we've got some wonderful things that we can do, and we've got some wonderful things that we're interested in. And I found that it's very interesting that we can be such good friends, and yet our interests are so mildly related, but you're into comics, you're big into movies, I play lots of games.
Yeah.
It's the crossover isn't there, so we can introduce things to each other if we wanted
okay.
to do that.
Like I gave you some comic recommendations and you give me some
Sure.
video game recommendations.
Yeah,
kind of thing?
perhaps. I don't know if you would ever play them. You don't have to.
I mean, the only thing I have is an Xbox One, and I play that for Blu-rays. So if you actually have an Xbox One game that you want me to play,
I might be able to do that.
I could probably fire it up and ask
Might be able to
Amanda
get
for
you-
help.
Have you heard of a little thing called Call of Duty?
You said
What are you talking-
duty.
No, but for real, introducing those things to each other would be fine. But more to the point is, what did you do? What did I do?
Okay.
Last week. We've got a lot more than just a week to go off of.
No,
But tell me
no.
about the most interesting thing that you saw or did in the past 7-8 days.
Well, I mean, just right off the bat, we've been shaking here in LA because of earthquakes.
Oh,
two
yes.
big ones.
I
One
was spooked myself.
One was like a 6.4, and we're like, oh, well, that was a pretty big one. And then the next day, it was like, no, 7.1. And we're like, oh, no, that was an even bigger one. So we're okay. It wasn't like a sudden shake. It was like more of a soft roll. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of people
it
got
was
vertigo,
nice.
actually, because they're like, whoa, I'm a little seasick right now. But yeah,
This is Mr. Yacht Club over here. You've been on the boat plenty of times.
listen,
You know how to deal with it.
everyone's been on a boat, right? Everyone's parents are members of the yacht club. Everyone knows this. This is
course.
relatable. This is
Yeah.
what people tune in for, is the relating.
That's your privilege to tell them
Of
about.
course. But anyway, this rolling earthquake happened, and people jumped to social media to just talk about it.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
oh my God, the world's ending. But it's Amanda's first big earthquake, because the only big one prior to this was in 1994, apparently. I don't remember.
20 years ago.
I know. I don't recall, but she was 2. She was like a little kid with her foot in her mouth, not knowing, what was happening whatsoever. And according to her mom, she was asleep. So she freaked out both times because it was just like jarring. We are on the 3rd story here, so we were swaying a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. That would be...
Our cat was defective. She didn't realize something was happening until like midway through. And then she's like, oh, I don't like this. Something's happening right now. Meanwhile, everyone else's dogs and cats like freak the hell out.
Yeah, barking, going crazy all over the place.
But I mean, just for exciting parts, that was the only exciting thing recently. But even, a little further back, I mean...
Tell me about Godzilla. You went and saw Godzilla. It was more than a few weeks ago, right?
It's
at this point?
true. Yeah. No, it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we're talking about, up to date movies here. I haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home yet.
Okay.
But
It's on the,
did
it's
you
on
ever,
the docket.
Did you ever were you a fan of the kaiju movies? Godzilla,
I've seen them
Gamera?
before.
Okay.
Some of the old black and white ones.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
things.
yeah, okay.
But it's been a long time. But I did see, I would say, the best of the series, starring Brendan Fraser.
It wasn't Brendan Fraser. It was Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
That's the joke you're trying to make.
Yeah. But it's starring interchangeable white man. That's fine. Roundabout 90s star. The most American of all adaptations, in that they completely fucked it up, but it's not interesting at all.
Yeah, no, that's America for you. Yeah,
That's good.
We have a rich history going. Oh, it's popular over there. We'll make it unpopular over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and disappoint fans worldwide with our adaptations.
Trust me, as being a fan of video games, this has happened to me every time.
Uh-huh,
Every single time,
Yeah.
in fact.
How about that upcoming Halo movie still, right?
Oh,
Or on
boy.
Showtime now or something like that? It's going to be a miniseries, I think.
Tomb Raider came out. Did you remember that?
Ooh, no, I did not.
Yep.
The only thing I
exactly.
remember about Tomb Raider is the poster and how she had that giraffe neck, because it was like a shot from behind where she's like bending over and like looking over her shoulder, but her whole neck looked like some freakish like giraffe mutated hybrid, and everyone's like, what is up with her neck? And then that trailer came out where she did like a little jump, and then she like flew across a football field to like grab onto this like old rusty plane on the edge of a waterfall or something like that.
Of course.
And I didn't even know she won an Academy Award. They kept pimping that. Like,
Are you serious?
what was it for? I don't think I saw it.
I have no idea. We're gonna talk
Okay,
about it.
there we go. But they're coming out with a second one, aren't they?
I guess so.
It must
It's
have broke even, at
expensive enough
least.
for franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they just put so much into it. They're like, no, we have to make this work. We gotta keep throwing this shit at the wall.
This is it.
It'll
We're gonna
cake
make
eventually.
We're gonna make 10 Sonic movies. It's gonna be big.
Yep. That's,
soon.
That's
We
another
don't
one.
need- we
That's
don't need to
another
talk
one.
about that one.
No, we don't. No. We can't actually. Well, I can't. Anyway.
NDA.
No. Yes. But
Literally.
No, really, NDA. But no, Godzilla, I was kind of always a fan of when I was growing up. I didn't have the movies at all. Like, my parents weren't into like, oh yeah, here, let's give you monster movies. But if it ever came on like a television channel and I had some time to watch it, I would. But more recently, a couple of years ago when I worked at Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine,
Yes.
they do horror, they do science fiction, they do monsters. And they're big into like Gamera, they're big into Godzilla, they're big into all the kaijus. And that's where I kind of really fell in love with that whole genre. And like the big beasts and like your King Ghidorahs or Ghidras if you want to be a prick about it.
Totally
Totally Ghidras. No, but so I really kind of trained myself and educated myself in like getting the old movies, finding whatever I could in whatever formats I could, just to enjoy like the simplicity of it. Because at the end of the day, it's just two guys in monster suits like kicking each other and beating each other up, and it's fun. And sometimes the human stories get involved, and you're like, okay, I don't care about this B plot. Show me Godzilla killing a mofo.
From what I remember, the age-old movies is once you got to the point where the rubber suits were on the screen, that was about it for the human characters.
Yeah.
It cut to their reaction every once in a while, much like modern Japanese TV today.
Yes.
And then it's just boom, 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 punching each other, knocking down buildings. Because that's the thing you're going in there to see.
You don't want the humans. You want the big monsters fighting each other. And I mean, when Godzilla came out a couple of years ago, I mean, that was one of the complaints was like you only got to see maybe a couple minutes of screen time of him actually like fighting people, and then it was all about Bryan Cranston and Aaron Tyler Johnson's characters. But this
People wish it was about Bryan Cranston. He was in there for about 15 minutes.
Yes, and people thought he was going to be the entire time, but no, that wasn't the case. But I mean, then there's follow-up, Kong Skull Island. I kind of skipped it in theaters because I was like, I don't need to watch this. But then I like watched the movie one day while at home, and I was like, this was a lot of fun.
Really?
It was a really good movie.
I saw the Jack Black King Kong.
Yes, the 3-hour epic by Peter Jackson. Yes.
I don't remember a single damn thing from it.
I remember being tired watching that in theaters. I was like, when is it going to end? And
Yeah.
at certain points, it was like depressing too. Like the crew members are getting killed off one by one by like all these gigantic like bug creatures. And you're like, is there like any silver lining to this? Like, yeah, I guess he gets Fay Ray at the end. But like even then, it was, ugh.
He gets the babe and monkey claws.
I completely forgot about that until you brought it up.
Hey.
But no, if you have a chance, go see Kong Skull Island
Kong
because
Skull Island.
that was kind of them.
Hot off the presses recommendation from
Yes,
right here.
it's still relevant today. Who's Godzilla's taking what name today? Up to the top of the Empire State Building there. Yeah. Was that like old timey Jay
It was
Leno a
old timey.
little
It was
bit?
good.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, then they set the groundworks for like, oh, it's going to be like a big combined universe. And it's been doing so well that recently Toho is building a studio here in Hollywood because they want in on all that action still because they're still huge over there. They came out with their most recent Godzilla film was Shin Godzilla, which was a completely different take on the creature. Like they made this thing disgusting. They made him look like mutated and just like a hot mess, like oozing like pus and scarring and like from like acid. It was insane. And so
It's a mutated lizard, I would imagine.
it is, but like it's not like it's like not a cleaned up lizard that you see in these movies like that you were used to. This thing is like scary as hell. And I remember seeing it for the first time in the screen grab and I'm like, what is this? What the hell is this? But like when you actually watch it, he is a badass in the sense that like his spikes that come out of him, his spines, they shoot fucking lasers. And he's like a goddamn disco ball at one point.
Sold.
And he's just like turns around and it's like, zzz, and like all the planes and buildings are getting cut in half. It is insane. So I do hope that they make another movie, but because of the rights issues, they're like, okay, well, we'll let the Americans make their movies so there's not like competing Godzilla movies at the same time.
Two different franchises.
Right. And there's even an animated one on Netflix, but don't save your time. Don't
It's
go
got
see
Godzuki. It's nearly.
that. No. Oh, God. As soon as they introduce Godzuki, then it's going to be like all hell.
That's what you do. That's the. There's something about the Scrappy Doo effect.
Yeah.
That happened to cartoons way back when.
The Cousin Oliver effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden we need to appeal to a broader thing, let's branch out. That's where Godzuki came from. No, this would have been probably around the same time as the Scrappy Doo thing. I guess we need to make it more kid friendly and everything else. By the way, Godzilla, kid friendly. Kids love him.
He's
a big, squishy, beautiful lizard.
They love watching entire buildings and cities go to rubble. And all the survivors waiting for their oxygen to run out, trapped underneath. Yeah.
As the rubble piles upon their chests and the
I can't feel my legs, mommy. And then kids love that shit.
Absolutely, it appeals to the children. That's why we need more Godzilla in the West.
Of course. Well, I mean, I was excited when like the cliffhanger at the end of Kong versus Godzilla, or I'm sorry, of Kong Skull Island, is you find out they're all connected. Like they show cave paintings of like other kaijus that they've unearthed, and it's Godzilla, it's Mothra, it's Rodan, and it's King Ghidorah. And I fucking love King Ghidorah. He is my favorite.
Boy?
Three heads boy, yes. And so I think I knew from reading articles online that this was gonna happen in the future movie, but then just to like get hyped for that for the next year, like so this past year for me, leading up to the King of the Monsters movie, I've been watching like a kaiju double feature every weekend. Like so, I just get I'll get the DVDs or I'll find them on whatever streaming service, like a Netflix or like they have so many different like old kaiju movies available. Yeah. If you know where to look, and you might have to watch some ads or get some commentary from Mystery Science 3000 people, but it was just like I try to religiously do this every weekend. Like I would set aside a couple of hours, watch 2 features, and usually throw like a Gamera in there or something Godzilla related just to get the hype going.
Right.
And so finally, the movie came out recently.
It was everything you wanted it to be and more.
It was. I had a lot of fun, and I think they really took the fans' criticisms into effect of like, okay, it's always dark, and he's on screen for like 5 minutes. They made so many monster battles in this.
Yeah.
And like the humans, yeah, they were like still intertwined within the storyline, but it wasn't like obnoxious to the point of like, I don't know if I'll get back to my daughter in time. Like, no one cares about you and your stupid ass daughter. Like, show me Godzilla chomping into King Ghidorah.
Hell yeah.
So they're setting up for another one, and now all the speculation's running wild of what the next kaiju is going to be, because the next film is Kong versus Godzilla.
Right.
And that's already happened before, and it was comical when they did, because in the old school version, Kong would eat on like electrical wires and like get powers that way, when in fact he would probably get electrocuted.
Yeah, he would probably get electrocuted and die. He's just a big monkey, right?
Right. And people were constantly saying like, oh, well, Kong in Kong Skull Island, he's so tiny compared to Godzilla. So when they fight,
absolutely.
But they kept making reference to like, oh, that's not even his full size yet. So of course he's going to get even bigger and then be a big enough nemesis. Right. They'll fight for 2 minutes, and then there will be a bigger threat for them both to team up on. This happens in superhero films. It happens in kaiju movies. It's happened in Godzilla several times before.
So you don't think that Godzilla is going to get golden spiky hair and
go over 9,000?
Go over 9,000.
No,
yeah.
I don't think he will. But I think there will definitely be the iconic fight that they'll be like pimping, and it'll happen within the first hour. And then the bigger threat will come, and
big
then they'll be like,
will show
all
up
right, well, we don't even speak the same language, but with sign language, can we both agree, let's take on whoever it is.
I'm going to just straight up say that sounds like the lamest shit that I've ever heard. I'm imagining a Godzilla and a King Kong looking at each other, getting past their differences, high-fiving, and then going to go wrestle an alligator the size of the entire state of Florida.
Well, it'll be like begrudgingly, like high five, like, all right, I guess we have to do this, but this ain't over yet.
Did you see the Rampage film?
No, but
so there's a game series, an old game series called Rampage, which was
fun.
Just straight up based on,
of course,
Godzilla and King Kong and all the monster films. And the Rampage movie that they made was supposed to be pretty fun, strangely enough. Like no one was expecting it. It's an age old thing. I saw it. It's fine.
It's The Rock being The Rock.
It's The Rock being The Rock. Yeah. It's a bunch of monsters fighting. But at some point, they started to team up a little bit together, and it got to be too goofy for me. I just want this the whole time.
Yes.
So I'm sorry that it sounds kind of lame. I want King Kong and Godzilla. Don't worry about the big thing. I know you want to continue the franchise. I'm okay with them testing each other's strength, finding out that they're equal to each other,
and
then going off for another day.
Yeah, okay.
Or like King Kong lands on an iceberg and he floats away.
Well, I think this is actually the last movie in the contract, like that they have with Toho.
Sign another contract.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they can make an extension if it makes so much money. But like the recent one, it didn't do terrible at the box office. It kind of broke even in that sense that it wasn't like overwhelming success.
Sure.
But the first Godzilla film wasn't either, and yet they kept going with it. So I mean, if Toho's happy, they'll extend it or whatnot, or have a bigger monster movie universe. But they also want to have their own shit still,
and
they
they're
want to
building
have
their stuff down here.
Exactly. So I mean, it's who knows what's going to come of this movie. It's all behind closed door meetings.
Of course.
us fans will never hear about it. Like, we'll just see whether there's another one coming or that's that. Wasn't that fun? Nice little micro universe, and you can go back and watch all 12 DVDs anytime you want.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
But for the time being, we've got Ghidorah coming up, right? King Ghidorah?
He was in this last one.
He was, oh no. What's the three-head boy?
Yeah, that's King Ghidorah. Yeah.
You said there was a cave painting on the wall.
Yes, he was on that cave painting.
Cameron, cut this part. This makes me look dumb.
Okay, sure, go ahead. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Great.
Yes, great talk. Good times. So enough about me and the last thing I saw. What's been going on in your life in the past week?
So, in the past couple of weeks, there was a game that came out on the Nintendo Switch, and a lot of people know about it. This one might be something that you would think is cool, called Cadence of Hyrule.
Well, just with Hyrule alone, I know it's Legend of Zelda.
There you go,
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda. So my tastes have evolved since then, and I'm actually a big fan of independent games and those kind of things. The big Call of Duties and the Rocket Leagues, those sort of things, are fine. They're good. They're fun.
They help sustain the franchise, but they allow the independent games to get some play too. Right?
The independent
survive.
games, they're made the platform, and the indie games come in and they're taking over the bottom rungs of it for $10, $15, $20 as opposed to a full 60 or 100 or whatever you want to spend on it. So indie games are a lot of fun because it's usually 1 to 10 people as opposed to 1,000 people making something, and they can get really creative with what they're doing.
Okay.
So Cadence of Hyrule is a Zelda game, as it were, and it's on the Switch. So because it's Nintendo, that's where it's going to be.
Right.
Probably not going to find it anywhere else. But the original team that made it made a game called Crypt of the Necro Dancer.
Okay.
Which is, I don't want to bore you too much with the details.
Is it like Dance Dance Revolution but with zombies?
So it is what people call a roguelike game, in that you start at the very beginning, you go through, if you die, you're done. Start over again.
Gotcha.
Very old school Nintendo style. There's been a lot of games in that style. This is one of the most creative ones, I would say, in that you are going through, it's on a big grid, and you're hopping through to the beat. And if you keep moving along to the beat, then you can keep combos, keep getting higher scores and those things. And that'll help you get through. But more importantly, all of the monsters are moving to the beat as well. And they've all got different things. There's a skeleton who does, he jumps forward, hands up, shimmy, jump. So it's every 3 he moves along. So you kind of have to know how you're going through each of the different levels. And each of the different monsters, how they're going to be coming at you as just a wave of them comes by, and how you deal with each one of them in particular. It's a lot of fun. At least at the time of the recording, it's on sale for like $3.
That's even better because you have like nothing to lose at that point. It's
Hey.
just $3. And I know video gamers, you guys will like pay fucking like $80 for a video game.
Oh yes.
So, and like without even thinking about it, like, yeah.
Sure, that's how expensive it is. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'll get on it. This one is great. Tons of fun. It may... it's probably still on sale right now. It may have ended somewhat recently. But the main reason it's on sale is because this Cadence of Hyrule is Nintendo saw this small group of, I believe it's 3 people who made this game. And they said, we love it so much. We're going to give you Zelda. Do the same thing. Which is, that's big top tier.
That
gonna sell big
is. They're
bucks.
just letting them play in that
Yep.
golden sandbox.
They say, here you go. Enjoy it. Do the best thing you can. They made something, and it is awesome. It's really good. They've got music remixes of all the different tunes that you may or may not know.
Okay.
From throughout the ages. It's just a blast.
Are chickens involved?
Chickens are involved,
Oh,
and you
really?
can slap them, and they'll knock you out.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. If you've got a Nintendo Switch, which you don't, but
I don't even know what it looks like. Yeah.
it's small. I'll bring it by.
No,
one
you
time.
can like disconnect it, right?
You
like,
can pop it into the TV.
yeah,
and pop it right out.
Okay, that.
It's very cool. If you've got one, I'd highly recommend it.
Okay.
That's where I've spent
A good majority?
It's probably 10, 12 hours of good time. It's not terribly long. And it's got a full random mode. There's a mode that you can start in where everything's a little bit planned out.
Okay.
And then you go in, if you die, start over, just like before. Just like the previous game that they had.
Right.
So that's where I've been spending a lot of my time. That's where I've been having fun.
So it sounds like you're encouraging more like viewing of and playing of independent publishers, independent games to help
Absolutely.
get those people and those creative people. Because Well, correct me if I'm wrong. You at one point wanted to like create your own video games, or
I did.
just design them, or be a part of a team.
So I went. My bachelor's is in game design.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan Silk, for getting me set up with that.
No, we don't have to thank him.
We don't have to
No,
thank
we
him.
don't.
He won't listen to this. Ryan, if you're listening, I want to eat those chicken nuggets. He'll know.
I'm cutting this.
So I got a game design degree, and I did want to make them. Going into it, it's a ton of work, and you, just like any real artistic field, you need to make connections, you need to get in with people, and you need to constantly be creating things on your own.
Right.
I wasn't keeping up enough with it with the other things that I was trying to do, so the people that I was talking to, the people I was getting going with, it just seemed I needed to put in that little bit of extra work involved, and I could have done that, and then I saw the way that games are being made these days requires more and more churn. There's more and more people that get hired on, do a thing for 4 or 5 years is how long it takes to make it. Boom, goodbye, off to the
next one.
Yep, and we're talking like 60, 80-hour weeks, sometimes 100-hour weeks for these people.
Now, can you still do it, though, if you really wanted to?
I could still do it if I really wanted to.
Are there studios in LA? Because I can think of two, but they're the big ones. They're Activision and Blizzard. Are there, like, smaller independent communities?
Activision and Blizzard are actually the same corporation now.
Oh, are they?
Well, they partnered, I think, about 10 years ago.
So people just... Do people hate them or do they love them? Because I know people, I know the Warcraft fans, but I also know what's the one that did all like the loot boxes that you had to.
Overwatch.
No, yeah, and there was a whole controversy over that.
There was a whole controversy. EA did the controversy.
EA, those are the bastards people hate.
So
yeah,
EA,
okay.
Activision, those are the two big butting heads.
Okay.
Those are the angel and the devil.
And they just
You
recently
decide which
lost
one's
the
which.
Star Wars license as well.
They did.
And I know that was
boy.
big news because people are like, finally, we can get some good fucking games.
Yes, thank God.
I hear things.
You do, yeah. I'm very impressed. Star Wars was held by EA for a long time. They went in full in on the license, and in fact, if you look at sports games, it's you go in, you pay the license for 5 years.
Yeah.
And here we go. Here's $1.5 billion. We're gonna make whatever we want out of this. It's kind of become the thing. Back in the day, you would shop your license out individually to different players. We're talking back to Super Nintendo, those
Right.
kind of things. But now it's EA. You get the whole thing.
You get
Do
the
whatever
whole
want
kit and
with it.
caboodle, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the real problem is that in the 5 years that they had it, they made 2 things. They canceled 3 projects. They made 2 things total. And both of those things were critically panned.
Ooh.
The biggest one being Star Wars Battlefront.
Because I know that was like supposed to be the big franchise, right? You could have different maps you could play and like go on different like worlds with the different characters, and it was like a big free for all, right?
Yes.
It was just like if you're a Star Wars fan, this is the thing you want.
You're in Star Wars. This is it. Jump in that TIE fighter.
You are in the Star Wars.
Yes. You're fighting on the Star Wars side.
Okay.
And it was, again, without getting into too much detail, it was a bit of a controversy. The biggest part being, at some point, Overwatch, made by Blizzard, introduced something called loot boxes. And it was in games beforehand, but Overwatch is where the popularity really came up. And it was, here's some things that you can use in the game, give us a little bit of money, and hey, here's some for free too. And it's a little bit of that. Give us a little bit of money, basically pull a slot machine.
Yeah.
And you'll always get something out.
Might just not be the thing you want, though.
Might not be the thing. Most likely not going to be the thing you want. The way that it's set up is very similar to slot machines, and flashing lights and the sounds and the colors make you feel excited every time you do it.
Yeah, it's a little endorphin rush every single
Yes,
time.
part of the fun of using a slot machine is pulling the lever and watching it brrrr and everything explode. You've been to Las Vegas, you see they've got these crazy screens and they've got
Oh, yeah.
boom, you get 15 free spins. Whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah, that. It's that kind of idea, flashing lights concept, which people get addicted to. The feeling of winning. And it very clearly preyed on those aspects. Now, whether or not it is gambling, by law, it's technically not. They're looking at ways to discern if it is something harmful enough to be regulated. But right now, that's kind of up in the air.
Okay. But there was enough of a pushback from it, just in general online, I heard, because people were saying, like, in order for us to get these boxes, we have to make this micropayment, and we have to do it every single time.
Yes.
So what's the fucking point of paying for a monthly fee and then having even more additional add-ons to it?
Yep. So you've played mobile games at some point,
Yes.
I'm certain. Mobile games really quickly went the way of here's free, there's some extra little things that you can do, paying money, speed up something, here's a little cosmetic thing. Because it's free, a lot of people have been okay with that. Because it's free, and because a lot of people have come up with ways of making it feel like you're gambling. Again, whether or not it's gambling, it is meant to emulate gambling in terms of pulling a slot machine, seeing the flashing colors go, getting that endorphin rush of getting something that you want, or remembering the endorphin rush of something that you wanted. That is the core focus of it. Because a lot of the games were free, people were kind of okay with that. You have to pay for it. But they found out that there were certain people that would go into these games and they would spend oodles of money.
Especially if they
Oodles and oodles of
if they were children who had just their parents' credit card, and
Yes.
the parents were like, yeah, sure, whatever, he's playing his game, go ahead, just here's the credit card, and then all of a sudden they get a statement for like over like 20 grand or something like that.
20 grand, 30 grand. There's people, there's kids who have said, hey, can you punch in your name real quick, Mom? Bloop, put it in, and then $3,000 disappears within an instant.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat, because the kids don't know any better, and it's
No.
not their money; it's their funny
They
money.
just think, okay, this
that
is
they're
fun.
playing
Yeah,
with.
exactly. I got the
Right.
next thing. Yeah.
So people were starting to realize that these things were causing a bit of a problem. But it was okay when you went, I don't want this game anymore, delete, because it was free. You don't care. And then things started happening, realizing that they could make a great deal of money off of this very small group of people that are spending a great deal of money, and kids that are getting the credit cards. And they refer to them as dolphins and whales. Whales being the big set of money.
Okay.
These are people. This is 10% of the population spending 90% of the money that's coming in.
Oh, my
We're talking
goodness.
about millions of dollars per year.
Okay.
In fact, the video games made the most money that they've made ever, more than all of entertainment media combined, I believe, was last year, in the multi-billions of dollars of profit, primarily based off these loot boxes.
Okay.
So EA got the Star Wars license, said, we're going to do this. We're going to put these loot boxes in our game.
In Battlefronts.
$60 game, loot boxes to go along with it, subscription-based services in terms of more things coming down the line. You can get more Luke Skywalkers or what have you. People didn't like it. It was a big deal. People kind of freaked out about it. And because of that, the first one sold okay. The second one did not sell very well at all.
Because people knew what they were going to get.
Because people knew what they were going to get.
They just felt like they were just getting milk for all they were worth.
Yes, there were a lot of promises with the first one. Is we understand, we know that things are a problem. We're going to work to fix it. It's okay. This is a long-term goal. We've got 5 years planned of working on this. Next year, Battlefront 2. Here we go. And it was all the same kind of thing. So it didn't turn out very well.
I remember the CEO of EA went on Reddit for an Ask Me Anything, and it's to this day, I believe, one of the most downvoted Ask Me Anything like threads in history. People came out in swarms to give this guy shit.
Oh,
And
yes.
every response was canned. It was like complete PR nonsense of like, we hear your concerns. We're looking into this. But people weren't buying it for an instant. I think that's when they realized, oh shit, the community is not happy. And
Right.
then they said they were going to like stop it for a while, and then they like slowly crept back into like,
Which they did. They stopped.
Yeah.
They pulled the plug on it for a while, and they said, we're going to go and we're going to fix it. And then what they did was they just turned it off and then turned it back on again.
is everyone looking?
In
Okay,
a
turn it
matter of
back
a
on.
few months, and they scaled it up. And they said, okay, we know that it cost 3,000 pennies, whatever, 3,000
Credits.
interstellar
Yeah,
credits, to buy a Darth Vader. So we're going to increase the amount of money that you get from 3 to 30. So it's just that much faster. By the way, he's now 30,000 credits. You're like, you just didn't do anything. It's the same thing. You haven't fixed it at all.
The Emperor is still naked.
Yep.
We're not addressing that in the room. But so they lost the license. Which
So
is
they
big,
lost the license, yes.
because what else do they have? I mean, they got the sports, I know,
They got the sports, and
And
the
I'm
sports
pretty
will carry
sure-
them for a long time.
and that's popular still, right?
Of course,
People
yeah.
love
No,
it.
FIFA is one of the highest grossing games ever of all time, and it will continue to be.
That's crazy,
I
especially
mean,
since Americans hate soccer.
Yeah, exactly. They love it around the rest of the world.
They like playing it virtually, not just actually getting your ass off the sofa and playing
you,
it.
you
Yeah.
will never guess what is in it. loot box trading cards.
Trading cards?
Yeah,
Really?
it's for a game mode. I won't go into the details.
Because I was going to say, like, yeah, if it's soccer, like, what? Do you just go, oh, I can loot crate. I get new shorts now. And then, yeah, or like a new logo T-shirt.
You get players for your personal team.
Like okay, like iconic players, like
yes.
like a Pele or whatnot, or okay, so
it's major players. It's fully licensed, so they've got the likenesses of everyone.
Of course,
yes. But not only can you get a Pele, but you can get a gold Pele.
A gold.
You can get a platinum Pele, and then all your friends can see how much money
my
you spent
goodness.
and how lucky you got. And he's kicking the ball 3 times harder, and it's going pew across to the moon.
So you can even get like skill sets, like
yes.
harder kicks and stuff. So yeah, essentially, you can like have a whole team of gods playing against like mere mortals, and then at that point though, like whatever tournament you're in, what's the point if you know you can just like hit A and then the game's over with?
Yep, you can trounce them. I never understood the enjoyment that so many people have, the fierce enjoyment, let's say,
right.
that people had of sports games. And then putting inherent unfairness in it. I'm really not sure why everyone's okay with that, but everyone seems to be okay with that.
Everyone seems to have a mutual conclusion of like, no, this is okay, this is fine.
Well, and the fun part is that if you go back to the Nintendo 64, we were growing up.
Yeah.
When you had NHL and the NBA of yore, when you had these games that were not the fully licensed. Well, they were licensed, but it wasn't like here's $1 billion. We're going to be the only ones making it.
Right.
When it was just people putting out games, they were putting out products, trying to convince both the person buying it and the license holder that they were making something good, and so they made something valuable. And at the end of the Xbox 360 era, getting close to the Xbox One, all of a sudden when these big licenses came in and said, EA, you're going to be the one getting it. I think it was NHL, it must have been 13, 14 that came out, NHL being the big one that a good friend of mine was with. They came out with this, we've got it new and it's shinier and it's bigger and it's prettier and it's on the new system. Here you go. And he said, but you cut this, but you cut this, but you cut this, but you cut this. There's a dozen different features that are gone now. Still to this day are gone. 7 years have passed, 8 years have passed. They just don't bother putting it in because they don't need to put it in. They're making all the money off of selling the trading cards, not off of making a better product.
Oh, well, that's just silly then. That's incredibly silly.
People buy it.
I know, and that's the thing. They're not going to learn their lesson until people stop buying it. Like, that's the red flag is when the consumer says, I'm going to go over here and see this instead.
Yeah. So we'll see where the greater future of games comes.
Well, that'll be interesting because you're going to be on the ground floor there.
I might be on the ground floor there.
You're going to be my man on the street.
I will. Yeah. I'd be happy to introduce you to anything that dips under the radar.
You're like the Billy Eichner of video games. You just have a microphone in people's faces like, what do you think of the new NHL game?
Yeah, what do you think about Undertale? What?
Yeah. Oh, you're useless. Yeah. No, but I think that's one connection, though, that we have. Going back to the independent publishers of the video games. In my later years here, when I first started Cammy's Comic Corner, I was all about the big two, mainly. Like DC, Marvel, but not just them, but just
Dark Horse, as we know.
And they were the Dark Horse, let's be honest. But anyone who had a good comic out, I review it. But over time, when I was doing the video show and eventually the audio show, like, the amount of events that would come out, or just the constant like rehashing of certain origin stories, superhero stories, it got boring for me. And like I was already doing a little segment in the video podcast days called like Indie Comics episode, where I would just have people send me their independent comics from independent publishers, self-published, what have you, and they would just go ahead and send it to me, and I would review it on the show. And I really enjoyed that because, well, it wasn't like precise illustrations or maybe not the 100% like A+ storytelling. It was a seed planted by this creator or this publisher that like, okay, well, this is just the first rendition, then we're going to have another comic, and then we're going to have another comic. But basically I enjoyed reading the indie comics. And so in later years when I just kind of stopped giving a shit about DC and Marvel and the big two, or even like Image and whatnot, I found my tastes varying and going towards the independent people. And so, like, I have a stack in this room of independent comics that I got from a recent gift exchange, and I've never heard of any of these comics. And I love them. And the art styles and stories vary, and I love it. I mean, it's just so much fun supporting and enjoying, like, a different take on comics. Like, and seeing these people, because I mean, everyone has to start somewhere. Some of these guys, some of these names, they start with independent comics and then they find work at Marvel or DC. But I mean, they usually tend to go back to their independent roots, especially nowadays where it's a lot more beneficial for you as the creator to have ownership of your work and have any new characters or stories that you tell.
Which Marvel and DC aren't going to be happy with.
They'll put your name at the credits, but you're not getting a big chunk of that change when it gets adapted to a movie or a television series.
As it will do.
It
Thank
will.
you, Disney.
Yeah. We own everything now.
Yeah, speaking of Star Wars.
Even
yeah.
you. How do you like that lightsaber up your ass? Oh boy, Minnie, get in here. So yeah, I mean that's what we kind of share similar with video games or comics, just the independent side of things,
Absolutely.
and having this whole creative field blossom by supporting it, whether it's a Kickstarter, whether it's a Patreon. I don't know if you're on either of those platforms or what's like the video game equivalent. I mean, I know there have been video games on Kickstarter to get funded and stuff like that.
Kickstarter was the big one. There's tons of different things on Patreon.
Okay.
A lot of developers are on Patreon more than just here's a game, we're going to make this one game. No, it's more this is a livelihood that we're making, and once the thing that we want comes out, we're going to move on to the next one. So tons of different ones. I wish I could give shout outs to people, but there's just so many.
Oh, that'll be a future episode.
Future episodes, I'll do my research.
That's all. But no, I mean,
How about you? Do you know any places where we can sponsor some of the independent comics that you've seen where they could pick them up?
oh, I have no fucking idea. No, just you.
I'm just-
I know what you're trying to do, but no, it's just honestly varies from whatever the publisher is, because a lot of these places are doing self-publishing now. Like I personally, and this is not to plug my own book, but I wrote a book of short stories, a collection of short stories I've written ever since college.
Excellent book.
Oh, wait, thank you. Leave a review. And it's available on Amazon, and it was a whole process of publishing it, making sure the format was right. But they help you, like Amazon did anyway, with their Kindle program, help you make it and create it, and then it's up to you to market it. But you can also hire their services to market it to other people too. Like, oh, you like this book, you might like this book as well. But I mean, as a creator, you need to use every venue you can find.
Absolutely.
And you need to get your name out there. You need to be on all the social media platforms. And so if I read one of these comics and I like it, I'll look up the artist or the writer on social media and follow them, because then I'll be in touch with what their next project is, what they're currently working on. If I see they're at a convention in the area that I'm going to be attending, I'm going to be going to Artist Alley and I'm going to be hunting them down, getting them to sign the comic and say, hey, I really enjoyed that. What else can I get from you? And, the collection grows, and you also help support them, and you feel good too that you're supporting them, because they put a ton of shit on the line to be where they are.
Absolutely.
And no one's getting into comics to make $1 million. That's for sure.
Not to mention the amount of work and time that goes into every single one.
Yes, because there's a lot to be expected, and there's a time you have to give yourself. You need to usually purchase yourself editors. You need to purchase yourself letterers. All sorts of people need to be in the process, and you're spending your own money on it usually. I mean, there are places like Kickstarter that do help, but that's kind of a crapshoot. You don't know if someone's going to take the money and run, or something's gonna come up like, hey, my cat got sick, so now I'm paying for its vet bills with your money. But don't worry, 20 years down the line, I'll have the finished product for you. So I mean, I for one say, if you see an independent comic that you've never seen before, it looks interesting, pick it up, give it a try.
Throw it down.
I mean, I'm going
What do you have to lose?
I've been fiddling with the idea of the Umbrella Academy, one of my favorite comics of the past decade. It came back recently for a third volume, after a several year hiatus. The first two I did video episode reviews for. I'm thinking I might do a video review for the third volume that just recently wrapped. Just for that, though.
Is the corner coming back?
Yeah, just for that. This is an exclusive, but I mean, I gotta find time to do it. But
do you have the suit jacket? That's the.
I have a ton of suit jackets left. I did get rid of a lot of them during the Great Flood. Yeah, but no, I have a couple I could put on.
This was when California went underwater. For
yes,
a short amount of time.
and that it was sub Diego for a second, and then it resurfaced. But so yeah, no, that's actually a sub Diego in the comics, in the DC side of things.
Cool.
Yes, yeah. The more you know.
Is that where Aquaman lived?
No, you idiot. He lived in Atlantis.
Shit.
He's the king of it. Didn't you see the documentary that came out last year?
Listen, he could summer in Sub Diego.
I guess. He has a timeshare there. Airbnb.
He appreciates the sun. The weather's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's always clear.
Well, CB&B, not Airbnb. Come on. He can breathe above land, though. But anyway. So yeah, I mean,
like that.
that was a fun little tangent with the video games.
Sure.
Because like, yeah, I hear things,
Thank
but
you for
then
being
you can,
patronizing.
I can just be, I can throw things your way and you can expand upon them because like I have honestly no fucking clue. I hear things secondhand and then you're like, oh well, here's the source. I can tell you exactly what's going on.
Did you know Spawn is showing up in a video game again soon?
Yes, because Todd McFarlane is trying to he's trying to direct the live action movie.
Oh,
which
that's
apparently
most
has
likely why.
It's because he wants the whole synergy there.
That's why Terminator's coming into a lot of stuff recently too.
Yes, Terminators and Gears of Wars as well,
Terminators
right?
and Gears of War, yeah.
Yeah.
Terminator is he's in a lot of. There was the E3, which is the Electronics Entertainment Expo.
Yes.
Happening in LA. Hey,
there you go.
Had about I think 5 major titles with Terminator showing up in it.
Okay.
Just this year, it's just because hey, Terminator's back, baby. Cool.
Did you go to that, by the way?
No, I didn't go to that. It is expensive
because it used to be not open to the public, right?
Timed up. It was open to the public, and then it wasn't open to the public, and then part of it was open to the public, and now it's open to the public again. But a lot of the people because it's supposed to be industry related, so you can tell.
Yeah.
That basically you go back to your like Comic-Con used to be. You go back to your publications and you write, this is what I saw. This is the big news for the next year. And now that it's such a huge, big event and they want public people in there, a lot of the journalists, a lot of the people who are going to find out something to report back on it are like, it's everywhere. We don't even need to cover it anymore. We'll just watch the stream of it. It'll be fine. So no, I didn't go because it was expensive ticket. It was a few $100s.
A couple of people I follow online, like they were going and they were like taking all these behind the scenes stuff and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to hear about this on a website like Gizmodo or something like a couple of hours. So.
Well, there's another fun part to it in that if you decide to go and you're a member of the public, if you don't have some sort of press badge or if you don't have some sort of influencer badge, then you don't get to stand in certain lines. Oh. You get to watch other people stand in lines where they get to go do cool stuff. So it's more like seeing the displays. Imagine if you went to Comic-Con and you weren't allowed to buy anything.
You could just see other people buying them.
You could see other people buying them. You're like, oh, these statues, they look real cool. Well, see ya.
Too bad you didn't spend another couple hundred.
Let's go get a
Otherwise,
churro.
you'd be doing that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's roughly the same idea. But hey, maybe you could swing this into something next year. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about having a podcast. As long as you report on it, you are press.
Technically, I'm influencing at least one person, and he's in this room right now.
There you go. You are influencing me to be a better person and a better podcaster every day, and actually have bullet points.
That.
No, yeah. You don't know. It's potent. You're a potent individual, Mr. Awesome.
Do I need to go take a shower real quick?
Well, I think I do. Huh? No, I'll meet you in there. No. Whoa. This got into fanfic territory really quickly. But no, I think we had a nice little chat about
so too.
A little recap. I mean, we don't need to tell everyone. We can divulge more of our origin story or where we've been in the past several years over every episode as kind of like and then the cliffhanger for season 1 will be like, and then they killed each other and their ghosts have been recording the podcast this entire time
ever since. Yeah,
that's
it.
Because I've got some tales I can pull out of my back pocket,
Hey,
as
cool.
I'm sure you can as well, and then we can just go all nostalgic about. Remember that one time Thomas Jane. Yeah, that was crazy guy.
Remember Brandon, your 5-year-old son who still lives in this house?
Oh, I need to feed him. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
One more thing before we go.
Yeah.
What are you planning on doing up in next week? Anything you want to see?
I really want to see Spider-Man Far From Home.
I would be a fan of that as well.
Amanda is a hardcore DC fan because she works for DC Comics.
Of course.
But she loves any movies that DC puts out, and she will be she defends any criticism that they may have. So she's anti-Marvel. But recently she heard enough about Spider-Man Homecoming. She's like, I'll give it a try. So we watched it and she enjoyed it. I'm not saying
Spider-Man Homecoming is
she's
awesome.
not going to go to like Iron Man, the first one, and then like work her way back up to the Avengers. She doesn't give a shit about that. But she heard this was fun. It was Spider-Man, so she watched it. So now she wants to see it as well. So hopefully we can tie that in and see it together in some sort.
Excellent.
Yeah. What about you?
You don't have to invite me.
We weren't planning to.
Oh, well, okay, there we are.
Yeah.
I don't have any games coming up in the near future that I'm going to be playing, but I've got some stuff that I'm looking for on the far horizon that I could talk about. But why don't we talk about that stuff once we get to it next week?
Sounds good. Well, Jeremy, if people need a reminder of where they can find you online, do you have, I don't know, a portfolio? Are you on social media? Where do you want people to find you?
So if you really want to find me, I mean, hey, why not? I have Facebook page, facebook.com/jspalding, Jay. That's my stage name. You can also find me on Twitter at jspaldingvo, JaySpauldingVO. And you can follow any inane ramblings I have there, although I haven't done much yet.
The links will be in the show notes.
Links will be in the show notes. How about you, Cammy?
I'm still at Cam Comic Corner on Instagram and Twitter. And then on Facebook, you can just go facebook.com/Cammy's Comic Corner. And, well, it used to be all podcast stuff, which it will be now that we're doing this again. You can also find out all the things I've been writing on both Facebook and at Cammy'sComicCorner.com. And now, just recently, Amazon.com/author/Cameron Hathaway.
Hey,
that's
published.
HATHEWAY, not A. I am not associated with Anne Hathaway in any way. And yes, despite hearing that all the time in fucking middle school and high school, like, oh, is that your cousin? I want to bang your cousin. Like,
No,
yeah,
she's hot.
She's not my cousin.
Didn't she get married to Shakespeare?
It's true. Wow, that's a deep cut. Only
Very deep.
Only drama nerds.
Only
get that one.
1700 fans know about this.
High five! And on that very serious note, thank you for tuning in to this experiment, and hopefully something else may come of it.
Hey, hopefully.
Possibility.
Thank you for wasting an hour. Take care.
Thank you for listening, bitches.